So glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon. We've got people texting in from, chatting in from Bordeaux, France, from Spain, from the Netherlands, the Nubinator in Belgium. Yes, I have your request, Nubinator 2. And from Maui and Kingston, Oklahoma. Alrighty, Karen's on the chat, ready to answer your questions. I think I'm all plugged in. All systems look good. Thank you all so much for joining us. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm not a dad, but I wore my daddest shirt today in honor of dads out there. I hope there's some people watching with their dads out there in YouTube land today. We're going to start right off. We've got a lot of requests to jam in here. We're going to play for about an hour and 40 minutes, I think. I'm going to start with a song for Alan in Maine, up in northern Maine. It was all the way up in northern Maine, not far from where Rod Picott is now, I think, visiting his dad up there. It also goes out to Edna. She said this is the first song of mine that she'd heard. And I'm using a capo here. A special capo that only goes across 5 of the frets. The big E string is open. I learned how to do this from, I was at Chicago House starting out in Austin in the early 90s. I think I learned this from Jimmy LaFave, and he learned it from Will T. Massey, and Will learned it from Steve Earle, and Steve Earle learned it from Guy Clark. So all roads lead back to Guy Clark. Tokyo, Norway, Seattle, Illinois. It never gets old seeing how far flung the viewers are on YouTube. It's really fun. Thank you all for being here. Well, Sherry had a pawn shop bound of gold, a sink full of dishes, and a love grown cold. Long came a boy, pretty as the devil. She took his hand, the whole thing unraveled. There's no turning round, it's broke down. Well, Billy took the ring, jammed it in his pocket, drove downtown and tried to hawk it. Down at the bottom of Lake Pontchartrain, there's a love note carved inside a wedding ring. Broke down, cracked it and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. Broke down, torn and frayed, ain't nothing left you could give away. There's no turning round, it's broke down. Ain't no telling where love goes, maybe down where the Black River flows. Won't be coming back round, it's broke down. Well, baby in the backseat and another on the way. Sherry thinks of Billy at the end of every day. Spends her nights waiting for real life to start, listening to the sound of her double-crossed heart. Broke down, cracked it and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. There's no turning round, it's broke down. On the other side of town, 2 lovers lie still, cigarette smoking on a windowsill. There's a picture locked up in an old suitcase. Billy closes his eyes, but he still sees her face. Broke down, cracked it and shattered, left in pieces like it never even mattered. Broke down, torn and frayed, ain't nothing left you could give away. There's no turning round, it's broke down. It's broke down. Well, this guitar isn't in very good tune. Sorry about that. It sounded great 5 minutes ago. But I've got 2 guitars going today, thankfully. All right, let's see who's out. Who else is out there? David Langrock, I see you out there, David. I got your glass. The David and Marcy glass I'm drinking from today. Got your request coming up. Florida. Kate in Florida. All right. UK folks. Preston, Washington. All right. Next one goes out to Professor Mandy, who's been doing a study of Americana music. And her little son, Gus, who I only met on a Zoom meeting, so I'm not sure exactly how old he is, maybe 7, something like that. Gus wanted to hear this song called Road Too Long that I wrote after several years of touring around the country on the Broke Down World Tour. All I could think to write about was being on the road. The only other time this song got requested was from a long-haul trucker came to a show, told me he heard this song on satellite radio. All the stories I could tell, all the places I have seen. My engine block is covered in blood and my veins are pumping Valvoline. From Waxahachie to Waxahachie to Rabbit Hash, I felt that steel belt song, and every exit looks the same. I guess I've been on the road too long. I'm out for 7 weeks this time. I can't remember where I've been. I'm always one day closer to home, and then I go right back out again. My wife is not the jealous kind, but she's singing a sad, sad song. And I think I missed another Valentine's. I guess I've been on the road too long. Yeah, the rows of corn flashing by, the broken white lines too. The bugs splatter, the CB chatters. Nothing matters more than getting back to you. I'm getting back to you. Think twice before you follow me. There's not a lot of glory on the road. It's safe and warm inside the van, but this Motel 6 is cold. Diner fries, diesel smoke, you won't be young for long. My brain is bent, my body broke. I guess I've been on the road too long. All the stories I could tell, all the places I have seen. My engine block is covered in blood and my veins are pumping Valvoline. From Denton to Damariscotta, I felt that steel belt song, and every exit looks the same. I guess I've been on the road too long. And every exit looks the same. I guess I've been on the road too long. Hey, there's Professor Mandy in the chat. Mandy, I'm glad you could catch it live. All right. Hope Gus is watching with you. All right, let's see. Here's one I wrote, another older song. Wrote when I was about 29 or 30, and that was a hard age for me. When I turned 29, I was so depressed because my career hadn't exactly taken off. It was kind of an expensive hobby, and Karen was working 2 or 3 jobs to support us. I was trying my hardest, but I just hadn't reached my potential, I guess, and I hadn't found an audience. And I thought, man, Hank Williams wrote all those songs, touched all those hearts, and then was gone by the time he was 29. And right around this time, a buddy of mine, an inspiration, a singer named Manny Versosa from Portland, Maine, who was a superstar in the making, he died tragically in a car accident on tour when he was just turned 30. And I was thinking about Manny, and I was thinking about Hank when I wrote this song. It goes out to Lorraine, who asked for this song 14 months ago. Lorraine, I hope you're still hanging with us on the live stream. And for the Nubinator 2, the Nubinator 2 in Belgium. Tell us in the chat what Nubinator means. All right, 29. When you died at 29, you heard the voice of angels. Could you hear the lonesome cries of the ones you left behind? On your knee you held a child, on your arm a handsome girl, left to wander this old world when you died at 29. On that cold winter's night on the highway, you left us wondering why. No one could believe the chilling story, and then you died at 29. When the leaves fall from the trees and the sky begins to darken, I listen to your lonesome song, and I know I'm not alone. And when they say how you suffered, that there's a reason for your dying, was it for my sins or yours? I think I know, but I'm not sure. You lived more joy and more sorrow than most do in twice your lifetime. You spoke of things we know deep down inside, and then you died at 29. When you died at 29, you heard the voice of angels. Could you hear the lonesome cries of the ones you left behind? All right. Numidator says, but you can call me Thomas. All right. Thomas the Numidator. I was 12 and needed a YouTube name. Nice. All righty. Well, we're doing some road songs today, aren't we? I wonder why. No, I don't know. Wonder why. It's because, let's switch guitars. Karen and I have been getting the minivan ready to finally get back to normal life. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be closing up the house and heading up to New England to visit family and friends and checking out to see if our cabin in the woods survived for 22 months without anybody in it. I got to make sure this is in tune here. But yeah, we're doing a couple more road songs before we move on. Got a real old one coming up, requested by Scott Carpenter. I believe he said he was in Australia. Also want to send this out to Richard Smith, who asked for some yodeling. There's a bit of yodeling in this one. Song called Lonesome Highway, a really old song. It was on my very first release, the cassette, The Promise it's called. It came out in 1990. This is one of the very first songs I wrote, and I haven't played it in 20 years, and frankly, I'm kind of embarrassed of it. It's not a very well-crafted song. It's very simplistic. My first batch of songs were I was just writing about what was going through my head at the time, through my heart, through my life at the time, and they're very unsophisticated. But I guess there's an honesty in there and a directness that connects with some people. So people want to hear these old songs sometimes. It's strange to me, but it's nice. Lonesome Highway, I would just write verses to this song, very simple couplets, just to keep myself from falling asleep at night. Falling asleep in the car at night. I had a cheap place to live in Dover, New Hampshire, and I found that if I did some busking on the streets of Portland, Maine in the Old Port in the late 1980s, I could pay my rent, but I had a 45-mile commute. And I'd drive home at 1 or 2 in the morning, so I wrote the verses of this song to keep myself from falling asleep at the wheel. driving a 72 Duster that I got when I was 16 from my dad. He had put it out in the field to put it out to pasture. It was all rusty, and I put some Bondo and sheet metal on it and tuned it up and drove it for about 8 years, I think. Losing engine, bleeding engine, dying engine, take me home. You're blowing oil, got my eye on you, dying engine, take me home. Dashboard light glows, a scoop, dashboard light glows, a spooky green glow. Lonesome Highway, take me home. 60 miles an hour, at the tank of gas now, sir. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Lonesome Highway, you're going my way. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I'm so lonely, I loved her only. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Through the city streets, the sleepy towns now. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Over dark mountains, I'm going down now. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Hotels, exits, roadsides pass me by. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Dim your lights, sir, headlight in my eye. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Lonesome Highway, you're going my way. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I'm so lonely, I love you only. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I kiss her in my sleep. That's not right. I gotta scroll down to the lyrics here. I'm thinking of her eyes, her soft flowing hair. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I kiss her in my sleep. She's somewhere out there. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I'm doing live streams from my spare room. Lonesome Highway, take me home. I'm getting restless, I'll hit the road soon. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Oh, Lonesome Highway, you're going my way. Lonesome Highway, take me home. You're going my way, this darkened skyway. Lonesome Highway, take me home. Lonesome Highway, take me home. You're going my way, this darkened skyway. That's a driving tune. Alrighty. Lonesome Highway. You know, that was not much of a yodel, and Richard is such a generous tipper, and I think he's got the perfect attendance records. I think Richard has been at every live stream, so I'll do a real yodel for Richard. This is not on the set list, Karen. I'll always have my dad to thank for his Hank Williams records and Buddy Holly records. And, you know, my mom had great Beatles records and Elvis records, but it was my dad's Hank Williams and Johnny Cash records that were some of the ones that first enticed me when I was a little kid. I loved hearing Hank yodel. And when I started busking, I had all that time in the car between Dover and Portland, Maine to practice my yodel. It's good to practice your yodel in a car where no one can hear you, because it takes a while to figure it out. I went down to the river to watch the fish swim by. I went down to the river, so lonesome I wanted to die. Oh, and so I jumped in the river, but the doggone river was dry. She's alone, alone now. I'm lonesome blues. I got me a woman I thought could be true. She made me bum my money and she made me blue. A man needs a woman that he can lean on, but my leaning post has done her left and gone. She's alone, alone now. I'm lonesome blues. Well, I met her on Sunday, she was checking me out. Long about Monday, she was nowhere about. Now here it is Tuesday, ain't heard no news. I got them long gone but not forgotten blues. She's alone, alone now. I'm lonesome blues. I'm gonna find me a river, a one that's cold as ice. I'm gonna find me a river, Lord, I'm gonna pay the price. Oh Lord, I'm going down in it 3 times. Lord, I'm only coming up twice. She's alone, alone now. I'm lonesome blues. Everybody at home now. She's alone, alone now. I'm lonesome blues. Good old Hank. Oh, this next song, coincidentally, one of those early songs that I wrote based on an old Hank Williams song. Actually, it was written by Leon Payne. A song called The Lost Highway is how I started writing this song. Then changed the melody a little bit so you wouldn't recognize it. Maybe some music historians will recognize it. This goes out to Jeff, who got in touch through Twitter, Jeff at Pop History. Also goes out to my old friend Susan Decker. Susan and Leland were early adopters. They were 1/4 of my audience at many shows in Austin. Susan and Leland were. Leland passed away a few months ago, way too young. I think he was only 61, but he was a really good-hearted man, and we miss him. I asked Susan if I could play a song for Leland on the chat, and she said, yeah, he liked the old stuff mainly because they started having kids about 20 years ago, and I didn't see him for a long time, but he would listen to my old music while he was working. He worked as an architect, freelance architect, and so he would design houses while listening to my songs, which is kind of sweet. So we'll do this old one, Keychain, for Leland in his memory. I had plenty of keys on my key ring, a beautiful home, I had everything, with a loving wife and a car to drive. I came home from work every day at 5. And one by one, I started losing them keys. My darling wife, I just couldn't please. My boss got on my nerves one day. Well, I knew that I was on my way. Well, I lost my wife, I lost my home, I quit my job and set out alone. Just one key on my keychain. I'm gonna start all over again. Well, she finally decided we just couldn't be. She wanted things I just couldn't see. She said, I'm tired of waiting around. She took the last fair deal gone down. Well, I lost my wife, I lost my home, quit my job and set out alone. Just one key on my keychain. I'm gonna gonna start all over again. Well, the bankers came to kid, took the key to my home. Just one key left from all I ever owned. I'm turning that key, letting out the clutch. I never did like this town that much. Well, I lost my wife, I lost my home, quit my job and set out alone. Just one key on my keychain. Yeah. I'm gonna start all over again. Alrighty. Rick Converse is out there. Hey, Rick. Rick has been on almost all the live streams. Thanks, buddy, for being with us through this hard time. Thank you all so much. We've got 117 people out there. That's a nice full house. Only 55 thumbs up, though, so if you don't mind, just below the video, there's a little thumbs up or thumbs down. If you could hit that little thumbs up icon, then that tells YouTube to start spreading this around the internet more and more people will get to see it. Let's see, who else is Brian Coggin? That must be Carol Coggin's husband, maybe. Carol Coggin, we had a request for her coming up pretty soon. And let's see, who else? Trudy Woods, that's a familiar name. Thanks, Trudy. All right, we're going to do one for David Langrock. As I mentioned earlier, David and Marcy had a big party. They were 50 years old at the same year, so they called it the 100th celebration. And I'm toast to David and Marcy here. David asked to hear the dad song. I'm surprised more people didn't ask for the dad song today. My dad is gone almost 5 years now, but I know 3 really great dads. My brothers Chad and Jay and my brother-in-law John are just really conscientious and smart dads and attentive, and they've raised some really great, smart, fun kids that I love being around. My nieces and nephews, I love them all. So this goes out to, oh wait a minute, I got a little piece. Found some home movies. I want to show you a little picture of my dad and I hanging out together. It could have been Father's Day, or it could have been my birthday, I don't know. It was summertime in Maine, hauling lobster traps together. Sweet. Yeah, this what you heard in the background was the sound of the projector as I was videotaping the 8mm movie being projected onto a screen in the living room of my parents' house, and my mom and my sister talking in the background as they watched the movie. I did that in 1988, I think, and then about 12 years ago, I took my VCR and ran it through the TiVo machine and digitized everything, and now I have them all on my hard drive. Home movies. So we'll do the dad song here. Well, I don't know, I like to play guitar, riding around the country from bar to bar. I'm just living the dream that I always had. I guess I must have got it from my dad. You see, my daddy bought a Gibson and I was 1 year old. I listened to the songs and the stories he told. I picked up that guitar when I was just a lad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. In the spring of '57 he turned 18, playing Elvis and Hank and Buddy and Jane. I found his old records in the attic one day. My daddy was rocking in the USA. Well, I grabbed that guitar and I left home one day. Daddy never seemed to play it anymore anyway. So take it, son, I can tell that you want it bad. Yes, I must have got it from my dad. Well, I ain't young, but I still ain't old. I have yet to make my fortune in diamonds and gold. A little silver in my hair, but just a tad. Yes, I must have got it from my dad. Well, people say that I'm crazy and I'll never win. Gonna keep on rocking till my ship comes in. It's a lifelong dream, not a passing fad. I guess I must have got it from my dad. In the spring of '57, he turned 18, playing Elvis and Hank, Buddy and Jane. I found his old records in the attic one day. My daddy was a rockin' in the USA. People say that I'm crazy and I'll never win. Gonna keep on rockin' till my ship comes in. It's a lifelong dream, not a passing fad. Guess I must have got it from my dad. I'm just a living the dream that he always had. Guess I must have got it from my dad. The Dad song. I guess I should have played that song on the Gibson that my dad loaned to me 30 years ago. But this guitar is tuned down a half a step, so a little easier to sing that song, tuned down, as is this next song. Another old song that David asked to hear. When I played at David and Marcy's party years ago out in Seattle, I think just a couple days before the party, maybe, David asked if I would play the song Racetracks and Rodeos, which I hadn't done in 20 years. It's kind of a B-side, a bonus track that I wrote with Nathan Hamilton in the 90s. And I was just lazy and I didn't do it. This was before live streams, before I got used to learning 10 songs I haven't done in 20 years every month. I would learn them, relearn them. But I relearned Racetracks and Rodeos for David. It's kind of a fun song to do. Give me a raging bull, a racing wheel. I want to feel something I can really feel. Throw me on my ear, baby, damn my gears. Go, baby, go, go, go. Give me racetracks and rodeos. Well, I punch my card in the morning. I work to earn my pay. You might think I'm stuck here, but I'm 1,000 miles away. 3 more smokes till the whistle blows. I'll be shedding these working clothes out the door, and I won't look back. 4 on the floor and a V8 roar, and I'm headed for the track. Give me a raging bull or a racing wheel. I wanna feel something I can really feel, like a ton of beef jumping or a 440 humming down a 2-lane mountain road. Give me some danger, give me some speed, give me something bigger than me. Throw me on my ear, baby, jam my gears. Go, baby, go, go, go. Give me racetracks and rodeos. He's got to hold on for 8 long seconds. He's got a rosin up his glove. He's broken bones and he's broke records. He's got his faith in heaven above. The people from miles around, coming in from cities and towns. Everything's hanging on that swinging gate. People paying hard-earned money to see a man tempting fate. Give me a raging bull or a racing wheel. I wanna feel something I can really feel, like a ton of beef jumping or a 440 humping down a 2-lane mountain road. Give me some danger, give me some speed, give me something bigger than me. Throw me on my ear, baby, jam my gears. Go, baby, go, go, go. Give me racetracks and rodeos. That's a fun song to do. All right, I gotta check my notes here. Gonna do a brand new song here now. Gonna one from the old to the new. Nathan Hamilton, I wrote Racetracks and Rodeos with, like I said, about 25 years ago. And about 4 or 5 years ago, Nathan brought a song to me called Hickory. We wrote the song Hickory, Walnut, and Pine together, which was on a Grammy-nominated bluegrass album by the Po Ramblin' Boys. And then over the past year, Nathan and I have been working on a new song. It's called Brady Brown. And I started the song after hearing an NPR story about a Central Texas town going through hard times. Perfect fodder for a Slaid Cleaves song, right? And I think it's about done. I played it I submitted it to Kerrville for their virtual festival last month, but this is the first time I'm doing it for my own audience, so kind of a world debut. Let's see, do I need a capo? Which key is this one in? I need this other guitar. I see some people requesting in the chat. We don't take requests on the chat because it's so ephemeral, it just flies by half the time we don't see it. Plus, if it's a song that I haven't done in a while, I don't have time to practice it. So there's a request for flowered dresses. That is on the set list, so we will do flowered dresses later on. All right, let's see. This is Brady Brown, brand new song. Trying to remember what key I do it in. No. I think it's this key. The town of Brady's where I'm from. Under the Central Texas sun, I've made a decent living here in the mines outside of town. For 20 years, for what it's worth, I ran machines that cut the earth, digging, hauling out the sand they call the Brady Brown. Our sand is old, it's coarse and tough. The Brady Brown is hard to crush. 300 miles it rode the rails out west to the fracking wells. But now they've found a finer sand they dig out of the western land. The Brady mines are closing down, the Brown no longer sells. You work, you pay your bills on time, you make $1, save a dime, hope you don't get sick or lame, and pray the mine don't close. Out here in God and sand we trust, but every boom town turns to dust. The Brady Brown, it built this town, but the future no one knows. For 60 years we dug the best, but now the jobs are moving west. The county once had 7 mines, but now it's down to 2. The company pays handsomely to move so far from family. The younger folks have headed out, but it's something I can't do. They leave behind 100 souls. No, that's not right. They leave behind 100 holes in the land and in our souls. I wish that I could up and go, but I'm too old to sell. Now I'm not crying, woe is me, in this land of opportunity. I still have faith in this old town, but only time will tell. You work, you pay your bills on time, you make $1, save a dime. Hope you don't get sick or lame, and pray the mine don't close. Out here in God and sand we trust, but every boom town turns to dust. The Brady Brown, it built this town, but the future no one knows. No one knows. The town of Brady's where I'm from. Under the Central Texas sun, I've made a decent living here in the mines outside of town. Brady Brown, brand new, folks. It'll be on the next record. Was that right? 12 more. No, I'm kidding. I do have about 12 or 15 songs in the works. 7 or 8 of them are starting to look pretty good. I'm actually going to do another brand new song. Karen and I are pretty dang sure that somebody requested Dust and Silver, a song that I debuted. I did a world premiere last month on the live stream, written with my friends Mike Morgan and Jeff Elliott and Robert George, Ohio guys. But we can't find out who. We lost the records of who requested this, but we're pretty sure somebody did. So I'm going to do it again 2 months in a row, but usually I don't do the same song twice in a row. But I'm actually still working on this song, and I changed the melody. So if you heard the song last month and you're with us this month, let me know which melody you like better in the chat there. This is called, the title has changed too. It was called Dust and Silver last month. It's called Ballad of the Silver Dollar now. And I finger pick it, which I'm not very good at, but I'll give it a try here. All right. I started out as just a lump of silver ore in Denver, minted as $1 back in '34. Traded through the Dust Bowl and the swamps of Louisiana. My journey is what made me what I am. One day a drifter found me in a dusty barn, put me in his pocket, kept me for a lucky charm, shined me with his ragged shirt and hopped a freight that night. He vowed that he would soon start living right. Up out of the ground come dust and silver, and a wise man comes to know what each is worth. Dreaming up and building out a life for all to see, till dust and silver return to the earth. The young man enlisted after Pearl in '41, got a uniform, a paycheck, and an army-issued gun. From Normandy to Ardennes, from Normandy on to Ardennes, in the battlefields of France, he held me in his trembling, muddy hands. Somehow we made it back to the old USA, with the GI Bill and a couple of years of saved up soldiers' pay. He raised a family, prospered, was respected in the end. He'd show me off to family and friends. Every day he turned me with his fingers and his thumb, placed me on his bedside table when the day was done, bowed his head and said a prayer of gratitude sincere, as I grew smooth and thinner year by year. It was late one night on his old back porch rocking chair, dropped me by his boot heel as he said his final prayer. And now we rest together, our traveling days no more, in the quiet earth just like a lump of ore. Up out of the ground come dust and silver, and a wise man comes to know what each is worth. Dreaming up and building out a life for all to see, till dust and silver return to the earth. Dreaming up and building out a life for all to see, till dust and silver return to the earth. Hey, my cousin Slaid Leatherman is out there, otherwise known as Slaid the Black, and I'm Slaid the Gray, that is. That's how we call each other when we get together at family reunions. Good to see you, Slaid. All right, so brand new version of a brand new song. These songs are all still in somewhat of a flux, trying them out for audiences. Let me know what you think. So I wrote that song with these guys from Ohio, Mike Morgan and his friends. And that's the third song we've written together. The first one we wrote together was Hometown USA. And we got a request for that one from Hillary McGinnis, who grew up in my hometown of South Berwick, Maine, was in Marshwood Junior High School when I came to do a visit there. My old friend Nicole St. Pierre was a classmate of mine at junior high and then became a teacher at Marshwood Junior High. And I went and spoke to the class and sang some songs and talked about songwriting. And actually, Hillary's class was the one that I had them help me with the song. I was working on the song Dance Around the Fire in the mid-1990s. It wasn't completed yet, kind of like the last song I just did. I was trying out different orders of the verses and the lines in the verses, and I think Nicole mimeographed the song, and we cut the lines into strips and moved them around. And you know what? I just read a story about Guy Clark. That's how Guy Clark co-wrote songs, is he wrote his songs out on graph paper and then cut out each line and then moved them around. Of course, I do that on the computer all the time now, but I just heard that about old Guy. So, Hillary would like to hear Hometown USA that I wrote with Mike Morgan and Jeff Elliott in Ohio. I'm getting lots of nice words in the chat. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate that so much. I've got a lot of new thumbs up. Thanks for the thumbs up, everybody. Let's see. What am I doing? What key is this in? This song has a wide range. I think when I wrote the melody of this song, I was pretending to be George Jones and pretending I was pitching the song to George Jones. I can't sing like George, so I'll do my best. It's closing time tonight in Harlem. Set the alarm, turn out the lights. Not a soul out on the sidewalk as she steps into the night. Across the parking lot she fumbles in her handbag for the keys. Another long day of thank yous, yes ma'ams, and may I help you please. Sure didn't turn out like she planned. She thought she'd be a star by now, dodging paparazzi cameras. But she's in Harlem still somehow. What happened to the leading lady, living her life upon the stage, still only working as an extra in a film called Hometown USA. Somewhere south of town on 40, a Greyhound bus rolls through the night, staring out a greasy window. He keeps searching for the light. No choice but head back home to Harlem when foreclosure shut him down. After all that he had worked for, just to end up right back in your hometown. What happened to the riding cowboy, living his life out on the range? He's just another hired hand now in a film called Hometown USA. They don't know their fate is turning. They're drifting closer in the dark. And as he steps in for a quick one, she's already at the bar. Tonight her lines will come so natural, and he'll tell tales of trails he rode. They'll fall in love beneath the neon. Tonight they're gonna steal the show. Sure didn't turn out like they planned, but they found their own true way. It's not the big break that they dreamed of, but you know they're gonna be okay. It's not a bad part after all now, in a film called Hometown USA. Down USA for Hillary McGinnis. I see we got our old friend Tomoko chatting in from Tokyo. I believe it's like 5 in the morning or something in Tokyo, isn't it, Tomoko? We're honored that you're with us today. Thank you so much. Primer Gray is not on the set list today, I'm sorry. But the best way to get your request on is, honestly, it's to be on the mailing list. We won't bug you a whole bunch, I promise. Just once or twice a month, we'll let you know what's going on. If you're on the mailing list, then you'll get an email from Karen with her address on it, and you just hit reply with your request, and she'll put it in a file and get it to me, and I'll put it in an upcoming live stream. I guess right now we should be taking requests for live shows. We've got live shows in the works on the Eastern Seaboard in October. Karen's been hard at work lining those up. I don't think most of them are not up on the website yet, but they will be very soon. Within the next couple of weeks, we should have a ton of new shows on the website for the October East Coast tour. And Karen's working on the West Coast tour for March and April of next year, I believe. Of course, a lot of Texas shows to come, too. Alrighty, we got, let's see, we've got a big old request here that's been coming in. Got a lot of requests for Breakfast in Hell over the last couple of months. Sorry to keep some people waiting. Key am I doing these? Do this in this key, I think. Breakfast in Hell is always a crowd pleaser at the live show due to the audience participation part. No doubt. It has become my most streamed Spotify song, too, as well. I don't know how that's happened, but Breakfast in Hell got about 5 million streams over the last few years, which is almost enough to pay the mortgage, but not the property tax. So I do a little research. I got some props for Breakfast in Hell this time. I think I showed this once before. This is a piece of pine that was pulled out of the Musquash River by my friends Gurf and Brendy. And here's a little river scene of what this would have looked like. This is the remains of a lumber barge on the Musquash River in Go Home Bay, Ontario, where Gurf inherited a family cabin that his grandfather built in the early part of the century. I was visiting Gurf and Brendy up there at Honey Harbor in 1998, probably, and they took me on a little boat ride in Georgian Bay and took me up the Musquash River, took me to Sandy Gray Falls and said, this is how this place got its name. And I said, and Gurf told me the story that he'd heard as a kid growing up, reading about in the local library and hearing people talk about as local legend. And Gurf told me that story, and I said, man, if a folk singer can't write a song based on that story, he's not worth his salt. So I beat Gurf to it. He was doing mostly production and not songwriting back then, producing records for me and Ray Wadley Hubbard and Mary Gaucher and Tom Russell and Hot Club of Cowtown and all kinds of great records Gurf made there in the 90s and 2000s. But Gurf also, I'll be forever indebted to Gurf Morlix for turning me on to Stompin' Tom Connors, who is a beloved Canadian folk singer from the 70s and 80s and 90s, who only played in Canada and only did Canada-specific songs. 3 of his best-known songs are Sudbury Saturday Night, Bud the Spud, about a potato driver who drove potatoes from PEI to Toronto, I think, or something like that. And the hockey song, of course. My favorite is the Gumboot Cloggeroo, which is about lobster fishermen off the Newfoundland coast. Stompin' Tom was named Stompin' Tom because he stomped his boot on the stage whenever he sang, and he actually had to bring a piece of plywood with him on tour so he wouldn't scuff up the stage wherever he was. So that's Stompin' Tom. My friend Seymour Gunther turned me on to Robert Service, whose poem The Cremation of Sam McGee served as the rhyme scheme and meter, sort of a template for Breakfast in Hell. I had all this great material, this place names and this great story, but I needed a template to fit these words into. And I had just been turned on to the Robert Service poem. If you don't know Robert Service, he lived in the Yukon for 9 years, from 1903 to 1912, left a legacy of poetry that captured the raw excitement of the gold rush and preserved it for generations to come. When I was doing my research, I pulled up The Cremation of Sam McGee, a wonderful poem, and I thought, I've never really tried actually singing the Breakfast in Hell melody to Sam McGee. And I tried it, and, it totally works. And I thought about just doing the Cremation of Sam McGee as a song, but I didn't want to shortchange the people who requested Breakfast in Hell. I'll just do one verse of Cremation of Sam McGee so you know what I'm talking about. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge I cremated Sam McGee. Pretty cool, huh? I could do the whole poem like that, and maybe I will next time. So Breakfast in Hell was requested by, this looks like a French name, Scott Lapidou, back in April. He told us it was the first song of mine that he'd heard, and it still gives him goosebumps. I heard the recorded version in my car. I was on my way to the liquor store, and the local radio station played Breakfast in Hell. I hadn't heard it in a long time. That is a really good recording. Gurf Morlix and Charles Arthur playing some really great guitar on there, and Ivan Brown on the bass, and I think it was Mark Cousins on drums, and the whole gang of them on the work gang. Let's see, who else wanted to hear this song? Greg Miller asked for this song through Facebook. And Scott Patch up in Maine would like to send this out to his daughter, Halliday. I think she graduated from high school. Was that a year ago? I think that was a year ago during the first pandemic graduation. Halliday graduated. And this goes out to Scott and Halliday and Greg and the other Scott. In the melting snows of Ontario, where the wind will make you shiver, 'twas the month of May up in Georgian Bay, near the mouth of the Musquash River, where the bears prowl and the coyotes howl. You can hear the osprey scream. Back in '99, we were cutting pine and sending it down the stream. Young Sandy Gray came to go home Bay all the way from PEI, where the weather's rough and it makes you tough and no man's afraid to die. Sandy came a smiling, 30,000 Islands was the place to claim his glory. Now Sandy's gone, but his name lives on. This is Sandy's story. Young Sandy Gray lives on today in the echoes of a mighty yell. Listen close and you'll hear a ghost in this story that I'll tell, boys, this story that I'll tell. Now Sandy Gray was boss of the men who tossed the trees onto the shore. They'd come and go till they built the flow, 100,000 logs and more. And he'd ride 'em down towards Severn Sound, or cut 'em up in the mills for timber. And the ships would haul spring, summer, and fall till the ice came in December. One Sabbath day, Big Sandy Gray came into camp with a peavey on his shoulder. With a thunder crack, he dropped his axe and the room got a little bit colder. He said, "Come on, all you, we got work to do. We gotta give her all we can give her." There's a jam of logs at the little jog near the mouth of the Musquash River. With no time to pray on the Lord's day, they were hoping for God's forgiveness. But the jam was high in a devil's sky. They set out about their business. They poked with their poles and ran with the rolls and tried to stay on their feet. Every trick they tried, one man cried, "This log jam's got us beat." But Sandy Gray was not afraid. He let out a mighty yell. "I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. Breakfast in hell." All right, we're at the audience participation part. Everybody, I want everybody to do this at home in front of your TVs and computers. And if you want to chat the work gang, you can do that. It's a very easy part, this audience participation part. It's just a ooh and a like a chain gang. Ooh, ah, everybody do it. Oh, ah, keep doing it and I'll sing the verse while you're doing it, all right? Here we go. Ooh, ah, everybody pitch in. Ah, Every one of the men did the work of 10. Sandy scrambled up to the top. He's working like a dog, even 30-foot logs, and it looked like he'd never stop. Yeah, they struggled on, these men so strong, till the jam began to sway. And they dove for cover to the banks of the river, all except for Sandy Gray. Now with thoughts of death, they held their breath as they saw their friend go down. They all knew in a second or two he'd be crushed or frozen or drowned. Yeah, they saw him fall, and they heard him call just once, then it was over. Young Sandy Gray gave his name that day near the mouth of the Musquash River. But Sandy Gray was not afraid. He let out a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. Breakfast in hell. I forgot to tell you to stop with the work gang. You can stop now. There's a 15-second delay too, so maybe y'all did stop. I'm not sure, but you should stop now for sure. East of Giant's Tomb, there's plenty of room. There's no fences and no walls. And if you listen close, you'll hear a ghost down by Sandy Gray Falls. Through the tops of the trees, you'll hear in the breeze echoes of a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell. And Sandy Gray lives on today in the echoes of a mighty yell. I'll be damned, we'll break this jam, or it's breakfast in hell, boys. It's breakfast in hell. All right, we got Zach from PEI saying the men are truly tough in PEI. I don't doubt it. Thanks for doing the work, gang, everybody. Thanks, Numidator 2. Thanks, Trip T. Thanks, Zach M. Thanks, Rick Converse. Thanks, Linda. Appreciate it. Oh, let's see. Scroll down and see what we got up next. You know, I think just to be safe, I'm going to change the battery on my phone. Not my phone, my camera. I got like this 15-year-old SLR digital camera that I had to hack in order to use it for live streaming. And it doesn't run off the USB, it runs off a battery, and the battery will die by the end of the show, I think. So if you just bear with me for just about 20 seconds, I practiced on how to swap it out real fast. Here we go. Hey, it worked. Alrighty. Got a fresh battery. We're ready to go. Got the tip links up there. Tipping is totally voluntary, folks. If you feel like tipping, it's great. Tips have really saved our bacon over the last 14 months without our touring income. We came to rely on tips on the live streams. We're all set now. We got gigs in the works. We're not worried anymore. But if you feel like tipping, those are the links. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. What are we doing here? Oh, I got a little Skunk Juice. This is a song inspired by Tom Waits. I was reading an article, or an essay, I guess, that Tom Waits wrote in a book about songwriting. He said sometimes he just makes a list of similar things and then organizes them into a song. So I made a list of things I'd see at the junkyard in the 90s when I was driving a 74 Dodge Dart around the country. This was before the cheap Chinese replacement parts at AutoZone, and it was got a squeak here going on. No squeak, sorry. This is back when I had to do I still do all my own repair work on my car. I just kind of never stopped doing that. But I spent an inordinate amount of time in junkyards because it's more fun to get parts out of a junkyard than going to the AutoZone, frankly. So that's where this song comes from, and it goes out to Amy Silva, who used to fix cars with her dad when she was a child. So that's a nice, Father's Day sentiment for Amy Silva and her dad, who's out there somewhere, I hope. Skunk Juice. Rolling down Witch Trot Road today, gotta build me a new rear end. I got sand in my pockets and skunk juice on my hands. On a ruddy road full of glass and steel, got a toolbox under my arm, and I'm looking for a Mopar in this old boneyard farm. They got Camaros here and Firebirds too, all twisted up in the Mountain Dew. Pickups there, vans and rims and rice rockets out behind the GMs. Fords and old school buses rust just the way they were when they bit the dust. Mopars are always way held back between the muddy river and the rusty railroad track. Yeah, the Mopars are always hard to find, but you can always find a few. There's Cordobas and Furies and Darts and Dusters too. There's a Diplomat on the Swinger, a New Yorker, a Demon and a Scamp. There's a 68 Barracuda grill with both tail lamps. Yeah, the owner's got a little attitude, but he'll give you a deal if he's in the mood. Some say it's the Moxie that makes him mean. Some say he gargles gasoline. He's pulling engines, booking parts, sorting alternators and stacking starters, fenders and gas tanks and bumpers too. This radiator damn near good as new. Rolling down Agamenicus Road today, gotta build me a new rear end. I got sand in my pockets and skunk juice on my hands. I got sand in my pockets and skunk juice on my hands. I got sand in my pockets and skunk juice on my hands. Skunk Juice for Amy Silva. Thanks, Amy. All right. Thanks for hanging with us. This is kind of a long stream. We're going to go for another half hour at least, I think. What do we got next? Oh, we got Last of the V8s, another one from the No Angel Knows album. This goes out to Maxine and Jesse. Do I have this right, that Maxine was a Moxie Men fan? Moxie Men was my first original band. Well, not really. That was the second. Still Missing was the first that had originals. But first band that I sort of fronted, Moxie Men out of Portland, Maine, starting with my brother Jay on bass and Mark Cousins on drums, and then later Pip Walter on guitar. Played in Portland, Maine in the 89, 90, 91, I guess. It was a cool little band. We played some of my originals and some covers like we did. We were proud that we did covers that ranged from Hank Williams to Mahalia Jackson to Husker Du. It was a pretty broad range of covers we did. That was before I wrote this song, Last of the V8s, though. For Maxine and Jesse. In these hard times, everything's breaking, there ain't much left. Every seat's taken and you wonder why we seem a little down. Well, come with me, girl, and hold my head and we'll ride the oh, you know what? It's bugging me. I don't want to. I want to take the that down. And you know what? It's a little out of tune, too. Well, maybe it's not. I'm going to start this over. In these hard times, everything's breaking, there ain't much left. Every seat's taken and you wonder why we seem a little down. Well, come with me, girl, and hold my hand and we'll ride through this used up forsaken land. I got a V8 engine and I love to hear the sound. With blood and bone and wood and steel, we fight against time and it's a losing deal. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? Just one old man trying to figure why another's hand is ever roll the trigger. He's tired of living under the gun. This world ain't ours, you know it well. We've been left with nothing but a story to tell, and we'll speak it softly through the streets of this broken town. With blood and bone and wood and steel, we try to remember what we used to feel. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? Yes, our parade's been broke, our innocence stolen. There's not much hope, but we're not beholden to anyone here. We're all on our own. We'll keep on riding this junkyard machine as long as there's highways and cheap gasoline. We ain't finished yet, but we're still so far from home. With blood and bone and wood and steel, we'd fight against time and it's a losing deal. Can't you see it slipping by fast? Baby, don't you know we're the last of the V8s, baby? Can't you see we're the last of the V8s now? We're the V8s, baby. We're the V8s now. We're the V8s now. That's right. Last of the V8s, talking about the Moxie Men. That's right, we named ourselves after the Moxie Man, the advertising image of Moxie soda, which was invented in 1864, I think 2 years before Coca-Cola. It was one of the first nationally marketed soft drinks in the late 1880s. All right, so that's Last of the V8s for Maxine and Jesse. Oh, we got a heavy song here for Renee and Jean. I gotta switch guitars here. Yes, the Moxie Men, we all drank Moxie soda because it's different, and it was kind of, back then it tasted totally differently. Back then it was kind of hard to, it's an acquired taste. I used to keep a list of what people said when I first gave them their first sip of Moxie, because it was just only sold in mom and pop stores for a long time, still is. Again, they changed it. Don't buy it now. It tastes awful now. It's very sweet and awful, but it used to have this very bitter aftertaste. And I kept a list of what people would say when they had their first sip, and I think Karen said it tasted like Pepto-Bismol. Someone said it tasted like Dr. Pepper and nails, tree bark, dirt, blood, old lady's breath. That's what this soda tasted like before they changed it. So we were all very proud to be Moxie drinkers back in the 1980s. I got Borderline here, a pretty heavy song that came to me through Wranglin' Ron. This goes out to Renee and Jean. Renee is a guy that I met at the Horseshoe Lounge, where he introduced himself as the principal of the local charter school, which was kind of an incongruity. You don't expect to meet high school principals at the Horseshoe Lounge, but then again, you never know who you're going to meet at the Horseshoe Lounge back then. It was quite a melting pot. But the song came through my old buddy Wranglin' Ron. Wranglin' Ron has told me so many amazing stories, and he's lived such an adventurous life. Do we have time for this? Yeah, I just want to. I want to tell this Southwest Airlines story because it's Southwest Airlines' 50th anniversary. I've been reading news stories about it. I fly Southwest because they let me take my guitar on board because they all have the same size planes. I know that the guitar is going to fit in the bins on Southwest. But Ron has a Southwest story from, he thinks it's around 1980. Ron was on a Southwest flight in Texas. He was working for an oil company back then, flying around Texas. And he was bored and he had some weed and he wanted to smoke it in the bathroom, but he didn't have any papers. So he asked the flight attendant if she had any rolling papers. And she said, no, but let's see. She looked in her purse. She said, I got a tampon. We can use the tampon wrapper. Ron said, okay, that'll work. And so the flight attendant and Wrangler Ron went to the bathroom in the airplane, rolled a joint in a tampon wrapper, and smoked it together. That's Wrangler Ron. This is Wrangler Ron with some other flight attendants. Where is he? That's Wrangler Ron flying, I think, from Africa back to Texas after he had sailed a ship from Singapore around the Cape Horn, or the Cape of Good Hope, around the tip of Africa, all the way back up to the coast of northeast Africa, where it was put into use as an oil exploration vessel. Here's Wrangler Ron when he was down in Wimberley working a little cattle ranch. And when Ron had this small cattle ranch in Wimberley, he had a bunch of ranch hands who were not legal. And the top hand was a guy named Angel who was a very efficient and very hard worker and competent guy and very soft-spoken and shy. Didn't speak much English. But Ron got in touch with me one time about 15 years ago. He said, Angel told a story around the campfire last night that I think you got to hear and maybe make a song about. So I went down to Ron's, and Ron and Angel and I hung out in the garage away from the party that was going on that night with nobody else around. And Angel, in very hushed and sorrowful tones, related the story of his life, or an event in his life, told the story in Spanish to Ron, and Ron translated for me, and I took notes, and I put together this song, which is in the key of this, whatever this is. In the still of the desert, in the light of the moon, Armando walks all alone. And the river ahead holds promise and dread, and he's 900 miles from his home. He pays the coyotes, dodges the meager, walks for 4 hungry days. When he finally hits Austin, the boomtown is bustin', but he takes what the contractor pays. When love for family is stronger than fear, when the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? And he crossed himself at the borderline. He wired the dollars to Elena back home while he roomed with 10 desperate men. When the builders had enough, the INS cuffed him, and it's back to the border again. A tearful reunion with family and friends, but soon the reality sets in. There's no work to be found in the dry desert ground. He must head for Estados again. Now in from the west comes a man with no name. He says you can have all that you need. There's no contracts to sign, but the terms are your life if you take my money and seed. When love for family is stronger than fear, when the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? and he crossed himself at the borderline. Payments were made, the seed it was sown. Armando watched the crop grow. Even his brother-in-law in the army was in on the plan from the go. 7 months gone and the crop's gathered in, but the brother has a plan of his own. He orders a raid, the army invades, and they take what the village has grown. Now in from the west comes the man with no name. He says someone must pay with their life. We know your brothers, your father, your mother, your children, your sister, your wife. Now we cannot touch your sister's young husband. Tucunyao is a military man. So you must decide who lives and who dies. And they placed the gun in his hand. When love for family is stronger than fear, when the desperation sets in, a man will cross any line that is drawn, and who's to say it's a sin? And he crossed himself at the borderline. In the still of the desert, in the light of the moon, Armando walks all alone. And the river ahead holds promise and dread, and he's 900 miles from his home. That's Borderline for Renee and Jean. I don't know where they live now. They moved away from Austin. I think they're up north somewhere now. All right, we're going to stay on a little bit of a somber note here. A song I wrote for the Everything You Love Will Be Taken Away album when I was fascinated with epitaphs. I read a lot of tombstones and found a lot of really cool epitaphs. And I put them all my favorite ones into this song. This goes out to Carol Coggin, who's been very frequently a tipper and a participator in the live streams. I think Brian Coggin. I don't know if that's Carol's family. Hope so. Hi, Brian. Hi, Carol. Song called Temporary. Whoops. Whoa, what's going on? Fall down on your knees, hear the whisper through the trees. No one's come to save you. Let fade the little lies, the sentimental cries. Behold what nature gave you. All you see, every love and every dream, temporary. As the morning dew will turn to steam, battered by the years, we'll quit this vale of tears and leave the world to turn. The voice of midnight comes, and spoken on its tongue, man's infinite concern. All you see, every joy and every sting, temporary as the blooming of the rose in spring. Live well and learn to die. Soon in the dust you lie with everything you know. Cruel death will not spare the wise, the young, or fair. Let us let's drain this cup of woe. All you see, everything and every friend, temporary, a love you thought would never end. Every love, every dream, and every joy, and every sting, temporary, a lullaby your mother would sing. Ooh, we're going down into a deep hole here. What's sadder than that? How about a coal mining song? Somebody's asking me a question. Just curious if you remember the town where you recorded Everything You Love Will Be Taken Away, because I was looking at the back of the album and it says my hometown. Where was that recorded? Most of that was recorded. Oh, it was recorded in 3 different places, that album. I started it at Gurf Morlix's home studio, Lake Travis in Austin. I did some recording work with my buddy Charles Arthur in Richmond, outside of Charlottesville, Virginia. It was the studio. And then I did some of it with Billy Harvey at his house in Austin. So 3 different places. I can't remember the town in Virginia, but that must be your hometown, Trip T. So that's the answer. All right, we're going to do Lydia written by my old friend Karen Poston. This goes out to Trish Ann, who I think is in California. I'm not sure. Lydia lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. She lives in the old place all alone, keeps in touch with neighbors by the phone, grows roses on the graves of her firstborn and his father, and the coal trucks never bothered her. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. A cotton dress and satin shoes, Indian summer sun, dressed in amber hues, spending time with an old miner's son to an old-time fiddle tune. Months blew by just like a breeze that year. They wed in June, and by the fall the boy was here. Word come down from Big Stone, there's a fire in the mine, and the 11 men they couldn't find. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, your tears are heaven's rain, but she never was the same. She watched them pull him from the hole. The overalls he wore were blackened by the smoke. Lydia twice had had this dream, and twice it had come true. And when she saw his father's boots, she knew. Oh, Lydia, let him go, the boy is gone. Her mother struggled as she tore him from her arms. Oh, Lydia, tears or heaven's rain, but she never was the same. Lydia lit a cigarette today, ancient fumbling fingers in her way. From a 40-year-old coffee cup she sipped a bit of gin, closed her eyes and let the memories in. Lydia by Karen Poston. Certainly, the rest of the songs are going to be happy. Well, actually, the next song is a workplace disaster song as well. Who made this set list? Well, you did. You did, everybody. I'm playing requests now. This one is for Sergio in Spain. I think I remember Sergio. I think he came to our show in London. He's a really friendly, nice guy. I think I saw him in New Jersey, too. He travels around a lot. I haven't seen him in Texas. But I believe I have the right guy in mind. Sergio wanted to hear Quick as Dreams, a song I wrote after reading the book Seabiscuit. Whoops, wait a minute. Oh, let's see. Which kid? Flower Dresses is coming up, and right after this one, I think. Yes, Flower Dresses is on deck. But right now we got Quick as Dreams. My name is Tommy Luther. I'll soon be 84. I'll show you a little picture I keep tucked in this old drawer. 60 years ago, boys, I rode for the Diamond Team, sailing by 8 feet high on horses quick as dreams. Well, I joined up with the races when they came through Alabama. They had a good young rider, just a boy named Sandy Graham. We were 2 kids run away from home when the world was breaking down. It didn't stay to see the family sell the farm and move to town. From Detroit to Tijuana to Annapolis we rode. They called us rookies, bug boys. We were just 16 years old. We were worth a couple of saddles or 2 big bags of grain. The big men owned the horses and they owned us just the same. 60 years ago, boys, I rode for the Diamond Team, sailing by 8 feet high on horses quick as dreams. Well, it's Winnipeg and it's raining, but the track's not looking bad. They gave me Irish Princess, Sandy rode on Vesper Lad. We were flying down the backstretch, my horse was running proud. I pulled ahead of Sandy when a roar came from the crowd. Well, I crouched as Irish Princess thundered across the line. Then I stood and turned around to see that friend of mine. Well, Vesper Lad was standing still, there must have been a fall. And in the mud lay Sandy, looking broken, lifeless as a doll. Well, the crowd rushed up to Sandy, they scooped him off the track. They took him to the office with shattered ribs and back. At the hospital next morning, I sat by Sandy's side. But the season would be ending soon, then I'd have to ride. Just a couple of days past Danville, word came down the line. Sandy'd lost his struggle, we hung our heads and cried. It was poor old Mother Harris, or the boarding house in town, who paid for the little casket and laid him in the ground. Well, I sent a couple of dollars It was all that I could save. She drew me a little picture of the lonely rider's grave. I've kept it in my bedroom drawer all these 60 years. I still see that crumpled body now, but I'm too old for tears. My name is Tommy Luther. I'll soon be 84. I'll show you a little picture. It's right here in this drawer. 60 years ago, boys, I rode for the Diamond Team, sailing by 8 feet high on horses quick as dreams. Sailing by 8 feet high on horses quick as dreams. Quick as dreams for Sergio in Spain. And now, as promised, some more Karen Poston. Karen, if you haven't heard, Karen has been she's been fighting a battle with cancer this last few months. She had surgery a few months ago and has been on chemo for a long time. I think she's supposed to be off chemo later this month or next month. There's a GoFundMe site for Karen Poston, Karen Poston. If you want to support her, she's having a hard time. I haven't heard from her for a while. I hope she's doing okay. She's written some beautiful songs. This one goes out to Scott Patch. He wanted to dedicate this song to wife Lisa. This is for Lisa Patch. Well, she was lean and long-legged, needs a bottle cap sign of a country store with a Coke and a smile. Coolest place to linger on an Arkansas day when she saw him passing by. He said, I'll take you back to Texas and my name is Ray, where the stars are bigger than the hit parade. And she stopped dreaming, her dream started dreaming his, traded her childhood. And she wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice. She looked real nice. Sometimes I think about my daddy and his Old Spice grin, a clean pressed shirt and a farmer's tan. She never asked him questions and he never told her lies, but I heard my mama cry some. And I was sitting in the hallway on the night he left, hugging my knees, holding my breath. I was never sure why, but he was damn sure gone. Thought it was maybe my fault. She wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice. She looked real nice. Now the evening is just starting to twill a bit. The fireflies over the rooted. Sorry, I said it. Now the evening is just starting to chill a bit. The fireflies over the field, and it brings to mind the glider where she used to sit, count the headlights on the highway. Now I think of where you're going, where you are tonight, what you must have seen since I last saw those eyes. I know I can't win if I do not play, but this whole thing scares me. She wore flower dresses for him, rolled her hair and scrubbed her freckled skin, on the chance that they were going out tonight, catch a show, maybe grab a bite. And she looked real nice. She looked real nice. Yeah, she looked real nice. She looked real nice. Flower Dresses for Lisa, written by Karen Poston. Oh, we got a happy song now. Phew, about time. I'm going to trade guitars out. We're getting close to the end, folks. I think we got just 3 more songs to go, folks. Thank you so much for hanging with me. 117 people of you, bless your hearts. Let's see. We got the Texas Love Song coming up. This goes out to Chuck Connor. He also wanted to hear Welding Burns, but I don't think we have time for that one, or I'm going to have to change batteries again. Also, Kathy asked to hear this song, dedicated to Bob in New Jersey, and from Gunnar Dean to his mom, Lori. Thanks for writing in those requests, everybody. The Texas Love Song. For you, I'd give up all my time, searching for the perfect ride. And this is one that certainly perplexes. For you, I would spend all my days thinking up all the crazy ways I love you, even more than I love Texas. You got Bel Air class, Dallas style, Austin soul, and a Luckenbach smile. For you, I'd trade my truck in for a Lexus. You smell as sweet as the piney woods. I'd marry you if I thought I could. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb my wire, the spark in my campfire. There's no brighter star in all the multiplexes. I love this state, you know I do, but the best thing in this state is you. I love you even more than I love Texas. Your wit's as sharp as a prickly pear. The sun shines in your golden hair. Your smile hits me right in the solar plexus. Skin is soft as early morning rain, tempered like a Gulf Coast hurricane. I love you even more than I love Texas. From the monkey duck to the broken spoke, you know this state like an old cowpoke. You know where all the tastiest Tex-Mex is. You got Matson on the radio playing Robert Earl and Billy Joe. I love you even more than I love Texas. You're the barb on my wire, the spark in my campfire. Let's head out west where nobody can text us. I promise you I'll never cheat, or you can throw me out in the old mesquite. I love you even more than I love Texas. And if you make me leave this state, well, I'll groan, but I won't hesitate. 'Cause I love you even more than I love Texas. Oh-da-doo-dee, oh-da-doo-dee-dee. Texas Love Song for Chuck Connor, for Bob in New Jersey, and from Gunnar Dean to his mom, Lori. Thanks, everybody. All right, just a couple more songs. We've got Rust Belt Fields coming up. The fun news about this song, I got to change guitars, is a song I wrote with Rod Picott about 12 years ago, and it came out on the Still Fighting the War record, I think, right? We just got word that a young singer-songwriter out of Nashville has recorded a cover version of this song. Her name is Rachel Byman. I'd never heard of her. I looked her up. She's really cool. She's in Nashville, and she's a fiddle player and a fine songwriter, and she's kind of a lefty. Her dad was a college professor, and her mom was a social worker or something like that. She's got a lefty bio, but a really fine new record that just came out. Some DJs were playing her version of Rust Belt Field last week that I heard about. Very cool to hear that. So thank you so much, Rachel. Rod and I are honored. Rust Belt Fields, this goes out to Andrew Smith. He writes, if I had to choose my favorite song to ask you to play, it would be Rust Belt Fields. I grew up in a small town in western Pennsylvania, and this song hit hard and made me realize the sad reality of my hometown. When the steel mills and the coal mines go bust, they don't come back. Everything, including the people, are just left to rust. Along with the damage to the environment, it takes a very long time to recover. And those of us that can move and get away do so and seldom return. Yeah, well spoken. This is a song I wrote for you, Andrew. I actually know a guy who, born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, moved to Maine when Youngstown started going downhill. He had a connection there, and he just couldn't find work in Ohio, and he left. And he found good work in Maine and was very successful, and then went back to visit Youngstown, and all his friends were mad at him. They called him a traitor for leaving Youngstown when it was down. And I just thought that's so sad to hear that, These people just stayed in Youngstown and became very bitter and somehow scraped by. But sad stuff. Anyway, that's where this song comes from. Let's see. Where am I? This is my town, out in the Rust Belt fields. We were banging out Buicks and Oldsmobiles. There was always a job, and the money was there. Some say we got a little lazy, nobody seemed to care. But they figured it out and sent the elbow grease down to Mexico and off to the Chinese. And I learned a little something about how things are. No one remembers your name just for working hard. Drove into the ground till your factory's cold, and they tear it all down and the parts get sold. Come the bankers now, picking over the bones. I got 3 more neighbors now about to lose their homes. 'Cause they figured it out and sent the elbow grease down to Mexico and off to the Chinese. And I learned a little something about how things are. No one gets a bonus for bloody knuckles and scars. No one remembers your name just for working hard. There's a casino boat, it's up around Boone. Think I'll buy me a bottle and a motel room. Put all I have left on a little black square. Risk it all like the big boys, like I don't even care. They'll drive you into the ground until your engine's cold, calling the auctioneer as the banks foreclose. And I learned a little something about how things are. No one gets a bonus for bloody knuckles and scars. And no one remembers your name just for working hard. Rust Belt Fields. Whew, all right. Oh, almost a 2-hour set. No wonder my butt hurts. I gotta break myself in. I'm going to be spending a lot more than 2 hours in a car coming up in the next few weeks and months ahead, with the trip to Maine starting soon and the tour starting in October. Well, there's only one way to end this set. A plea for one good year. This goes out to Bob Elkins, who asked for this song back in April. Sorry, Bob, took me a while to get to it. Now's a good time to do it, when country seems to be opening up. People seem to be brightening up their faces and their hearts. We get to hang out with each other. I get to see my mom, who I haven't seen in almost 2 years. One good year for Bob Elkins and for Dave Britton in Houston, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday, Dave. And let's see, and for Kelly Moulton, dedicate this song to her soulmate Alex, who passed away 5 years ago. Kelly sent me a beautiful eulogy that she wrote in honor of Alex. I read it. It's absolutely beautiful, and it uses this Chasing Grace line of this song as a refrain. Nicely done. I'm honored. I can't get into tune here. It's a New Year's Day, just like the day before. Same old skies of gray, same empty bottles on the floor. I don't like the way this guitar sounds. I'm going to use the other one. This, of course, is the guitar that Craig Cleaves bought in 1965 when I was a baby, and I played around the house, much to the thrill of me and my little brothers and sister as we were growing up. I think it's only appropriate on Father's Day to play this song that he bought and loaned to me in 1989. Never give it back. Oh yeah, that sounds better. It's a New Year's Day, just like the day before. Same old skies of gray, same empty bottles on the floor. Another year gone by, and I've been thinking once again, how can I take this losing hand and somehow win? Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, and grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can devil a man, chase him and carry him down. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. I'm burning oil, engines running rough. I drive from job to job, but it's never enough. I can't find the will to just up and get away. Some kind of chains holding me down to make me stay. Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can devil a man, chase him and carry him down. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. It's a bitter wind in your face every day. It's the little sins that wear your soul away. When you start giving in, where do the promises all go? Will your darkest hour write a blank check on your soul? Just give me one good year to get my feet back on the ground. I've been chasing grace, and grace ain't so easily found. One bad hand can devil a man, a good one can turn him around. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. I gotta get out of here, just give me one good year. Just give me one good year. Thank you all so much, everybody, for helping us through this hard time. Next year has got to be a better year than this past year, right? I hope you all have a wonderful summer. Hope to see some of you on the East Coast in October when the tour resumes. We'll try to get to the rest of you as the years go by. We'll come see you. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll do a live stream once in a while, but not for a couple of months, so take care. Thank you, Karen, for taking care of the chats throughout all these live streams. Couldn't do it without you. Can't wait to head up to Maine with you. 2,500 miles. We'll get a long car ride coming up. I can't wait for it, though. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm going to put the tip link back up and say sayonara for now. Where's the tip link? We'll start with a little merch.